Welcome to Indivisible. Thanks for joining us, America. I'm your host, John Stubbins. With all the fake news and how anyone that breathes wrong is now called a racist. These days, you hear something, and I start to say, or I started doing this a couple years ago, when I hear someone who says something that seems suspect, immediately I start doing my own research to find out if it's real or not, do my own homework. So that being said, let's take the case of Judge Roy Moore. Much like Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, the judge was accused 30 years later by an accuser, okay? And we've seen in America how the left smears people. And America has now awakened to this. It's been a couple years, and you'll notice that the Kavanaugh hearings and the smears took place after Judge Roy Moore's, the accusations that were levied against him. So we've learned a lot about the left, the deep state, how the smear merchants work. And now that America's awakened to that, and we realize, okay, we don't have to be mean when confronting lies. What we do need to do is the old tough love process. I guess when we were kids, you thought of, you do something wrong, tough love's involved. Okay, now, if someone doesn't like that tough love and you attack back because your facts are different than their facts, and maybe they're lying about something, no matter what it is. In Kavanaugh's case, it was accusers coming out of the woodwork that they caught in the lies. Similar thing here with Judge Roy Moore. If they don't like hearing the truth or the facts, that's tough. That's just too bad. We don't really care whether they like it or not. They're just going to have to deal with it. And you can do that with a smile on your face. It doesn't really matter as long as we're telling the truth. So look at the Jussie Smollett hoax, the Covington kids, the Duke scandal, the lies against President Trump, smear after smear after smear, on and on and on. Everyone is a racist, right? So do we just accept these smears, these accusations, or is it worth re-examining? Does destroying someone's life wrongly, does that matter to you? Would it matter if it was you? I find it mighty convenient that an accusation like this, pretty similar to the one with Justice Kavanaugh, comes just days before an election, okay? The October surprise. Now, in just the last few weeks, the judge has missed out on yet another election, another opportunity for office. And nothing is going to stop that reality now. Okay. That's done and gone. But what about his entire life? What about his legacy? Is it just to be deleted, to be forgotten, ruined, and destroyed just because one person claims he did something 30 years ago, but yet for 30 years they couldn't say a word about it? Just a week before the election or 2 weeks before the election. Americans have figured this out. I believe that. I believe they understand what the left is doing, the smear campaigns, the fake news media. Isn't this case at least worth revisiting? Just in case the accusations are false. We're going to go to a quick break, America, but when we come back, I'm going to bring on Judge Roy Moore and attorney Melissa Isaac. See you on the other side. Welcome to the show. We've got Judge Roy Moore and attorney Melissa Isaac from Alabama. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming on. Real quick, Judge, before I get into this, I just want to give you a kudos and thank you for your courage in standing up for the Ten Commandments monument down there at the rotunda of the Alabama Supreme Court. I know you fought to keep that up, and they were bound and determined to try to get rid of you because you stood for God, and that took courage. Good for you. Thank you, Judge. Judge, it seems like everyone has moved on, kind of forgotten your situation, except you and your supporters, obviously, who haven't forgotten about it. And I think fair-minded Americans out there, again, like I described it earlier in my monologue, the way that this thing timed out, because this case took place back in November of 2017 when this was all brought up before your election. So again, we had the Kavanaugh hearings after that. And so we've learned a lot about how the left operates and how they smear, how they lie. And, I think that fair-minded Americans would like to rehear this accusation being made against you with fresh ears, okay? Now that they realize how the fake news operates, and maybe you were wrongfully smeared, okay? This accusation came before people really understood how these people operate. So that being said, Judge, what can you tell us? What can you tell the audience, America, about the facts of the case? Maybe what they missed, what they don't know.
Well, John, it's very simple. They started this in September of 2017. They started before the accusation came out with a disinformation campaign out of Washington, D.C., funded by Reid Hoffman. That's all been brought out in the press. A lot of people haven't read it or known about it, but it worked out of the staffers of the United States Senate Intelligence Committee in Washington, D.C. My opposition was political. And by the way, it was nearly 40 years ago, actually 38 years ago, when this alleged accusation supposedly occurred. Well, I never met this woman. I don't know this woman. I've taken the polygraph examination. She hasn't. I passed the polygraph examination. It's a fiction, and everyone surrounding the case knows about it. We've sued the conspirators in Etowah County. The case has been put on hold. We've done everything we can do to clear up this fact, but of course it was all political. It came out 32 days before the election, after I've run in state politics for nearly 40 years. I've run about 8 state campaigns, never a mention of any accusation or any charge or anything in my entire life until 32 days before the Senate election. And it occurred because I had won the Republican nomination over the forces in Washington, D.C. that had their candidate, Luther Strange, up for election, and they thought I couldn't win because I didn't have any money. Well, I actually did win. And when I won, they actually went over to the Democrats, and this whole false allegations came out in November after they started it in September of that year. So it was all political, and that's what it's been about, and it's an effort by the left. Nancy Pelosi described it in a briefing that she had, and we've shown that on her website, that basically it was a political tactic.
Sure.
That's what.
Sure. Yeah. And lo and behold, someone of 40 years service like you, who's been exemplary, you're trying to get your reputation back, right?
Well, I deserve to have my reputation back. I've spent 70-something years, 40-something in politics. I was in the Army. I went to the United States Military Academy. It was absolutely wrong. They cooked it up. They made it up. And people would rather believe a lie than look at the obvious logical explanation of this. Is all about politics. And that's what it was about. We've discovered that in depositions and so forth.
Well, first of all, I'm a veteran myself. Thank you for your service, Judge. I want to bring on Melissa Isaac now, attorney at law, Montgomery, Alabama, for Judge Roy Moore. Melissa, you've heard my monologue. You've heard me describe the smear campaign, how it's built up, how the left operates. Okay. And I think you understand exactly what I'm getting at, because the judge, like I said, Judge Roy Moore, when this happened, it was really just before Americans really started to catch on with how the left truly operates. Pelosi, now we know Pelosi, in my eyes, is she's a scumbag. Okay, I can't stand her. She, as everybody knows, she's holding up the until late last night, holding up the coronavirus bill as she tries to add pork to a bill that nobody wants. What we want as Americans is to be protected and helped as Americans to deal with this virus. Not adding a bridge, not helping abortion, none of that. But it's Pelosi's tricks. Her and Schumer do this all the time, as we know. So, Melissa, please give me a little bit of your insight. We're going to go to break here in a couple minutes, but please give me your insight as to what I was discussing here in the monologue and how it affects the judge's case.
Well, the judge's case is unprecedented. Never before, and we've scoured the case law, never before has a candidate been sued for simply denying allegations. There's a qualified privilege to defend oneself against defamatory attacks. When someone makes a public attack, they're opening themselves up to discussions about their own motives. And that's what happened. Judge Moore opined that she has political motives, i.e. that she wanted to hurt his campaign and hurt his chance of election, which, by the way, she already has admitted that. But she seeks to hold Judge Moore accountable for opinions posted by other people on social media. For example, the law protects Judge Moore from responsibility for posts tweeted by unaffiliated individuals, and yet part of this lawsuit is based upon the opinions from other people. So yet we have an accuser who goes to a national medium, a national publication, makes allegations that are nearly 40 years old, and then she sues Judge Moore because people don't believe her and have some choice words for her. It's simply unfair. It's unprecedented.
Well, first of all, I could care less what these idiots on social media think, because, as you know, many of them, they sit behind their laptops in their mama's basement in their pajamas talking about anybody and everybody, how they're a tough guy, okay? And they don't know what they're talking about. They're just a field because maybe they like someone. Okay. We don't convict people in the United States of America because two people get together and they like each other, and therefore this person over here is going to go down because they just don't like him. That's not the way that our system is supposed to work. And after almost 40 years. I thought it was 30. Almost 40 years. Okay. And out of the blue comes this individual. And now you're talking about what they had to say being debunked, the lies caught onto. We're going to talk about this case a little bit more in depth when we come back from break. We'll be right back, America. We're back with Judge Roy Moore and attorney Melissa Isaac. Melissa, you were saying you were kind of getting involved with my discussion on the monologue at the beginning. Can you tell me any more aspects as far as where we are with it, with Judge's case as of today?
Well, as of right now, we have 2 motions for summary judgment that have been pending since July. The motions have been filed, responses have been filed. We've had oral arguments on this, and we are just waiting for a response from the judge. Another problem is she has used the courts to ask for remedies that are unconstitutional and unavailable to her. This is part of our motion for summary judgment. We're saying that she doesn't even have a case. She wants the court to order Judge Moore to retract all defamatory statements that were made against her. She wants a public apology for the statements, and she wants the court to order Judge Moore from making any further statements. Retractions and apologies are compelled speech. The courts can't do that. They can't compel an expression of opinion. They can't issue a prior restraint against speech. What she's asking for is unconstitutional, yet the courts are still entertaining her lawsuit.
Let me ask you this, Judge. How long do you think it's going to take for this case to play out before you can be exonerated?
Well, John, let me explain this. I'm being sued for denying her accusations. Now, that's the most ridiculous thing in law that you can imagine.
It's insane.
If you ran a red light and I said I sued you for running a red light and you said you didn't, I can't sue you for defamation. I'm suing you for running the red light. But they're suing me for denying what she said. Well, this is ridiculous. And it's holding up my suit against 5 of them, to include her, for conspiracy to commit defamation. We have the evidence to show that they cooked this story up. They came out on national television after nearly 40 years to accuse me of something I did not do, did not know her, and they know this. They just made it up for political purposes.
Out of whole cloth.
2 years right now. And we've got other suits going too for defamation that arose out of this, because the press just went wild on this and they repeated it over and over. And we're attempting to stop the press from running my life.
Melissa, how long can they run the string out? I guess what I'm asking is, they've got this suit that's blocking the judge's suit. How long till the rubber meets the road and they have to deal with reality and facing the facts and the truth and a decision coming down?
That's a good question. And I think we've asked that same question. There's nothing in the law that limits a judge to make rulings within a certain amount of time as it relates to, for instance, our summary judgment motions. So like I said, it's been pending since July. I feel like we are long overdue a ruling. We actually have an outstanding motion to recuse the judge. Our current judge is a retired Democrat. He was actually a supporter of Judge Moore's opposition in the 2017 election. And his wife has also made public statements on her Facebook page.
I saw that.
Some pretty vile names. And this is the judge presiding over our case.
Yeah, I saw that. Is that, taking that into consideration, is there a way to appeal to another judge or a different court on the matter?
Well, our motion to recuse is still pending. The judge has indicated that he wants to have a hearing on that where he can take arguments, and it will depend on the outcome of that ruling.
Okay. Judge, we really hope, because I believe that you were wrongfully accused, and reviewing this case, many Americans taking this on again with fresh ears, okay? Knowing what we know now on how this smear merchants work, how the fake news media operates now, and how they smear people. We all saw what they did to Justice Kavanaugh, and it was just absurd. I think many Americans were just thoroughly disgusted by that, and your case to me seems so very similar. We just really hope this case gets resolved, gets reviewed in a fresh way. Knowing all that we know now, we are rooting for you to bring the truth out to the surface and expose anyone who has falsely accused you, including this judge's wife, okay, based on the damage that's been done to you. The liars, in my opinion, should go to jail. This type of thing cannot be allowed to go on. You cannot be allowed to ruin someone's life, their good name, their reputation, just because of political reasons. We're doing this all over, okay? I spent time with Carter Page a couple weeks ago and talked to him in depth about what's going on with him. Later today, I'm going to have Sidney Powell on. She represents General Mike Flynn, and I'm going to talk to her about that case and see where it is. I know that President Trump was talking about pardoning the general last week, but the general doesn't want a pardon. The general wants exoneration, and we understand that. So I want to thank you both for joining us tonight. God bless you, Judge. God bless you, Melissa. And unfortunately, we're out of time, but we will see you tomorrow night on Indivisible. Good night, America.
Thank you, John.